Hello and welcome to this tutorial, everybody. Today I'm gonna teach you how to store data in Android Studio for Android platform phones using files. So obviously basically most of the applications we use on Android Studio or on iPhone for that matter, they have storage, some kind of storage capacity. So for Android we'll talk about specifically there are three different kinds of storage mechanisms that we have, which using which we can actually store data. The first one is shared preferences, which is mainly for very short and small amount of data, which is not changed very often, like date of birth, your name, your username and password. So which actually goes into keys and value pairs. So you have name Ali, date of birth, a certain date of birth, username, etc. So this is the kind of data which doesn't change very often unless you install your install or remove your application, etc. Password are, this sort of things is something which is being changed mainly maybe in 6 months or 3 months time. So when you have this kind of small data, you go with shared preferences. That's one mechanism of storing data in Android. The second one is files. So we actually use files mechanism to files and folders to organize and save our files, PDFs, email attachments, etc., etc., into Android. They can also be binary data like images and videos, etc., which also use files mechanism. The third one is database. All phones, including iPhone, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile, and Android, they come with SQLite databases. It's a very small, lightweight database application, which actually all major platforms have, and applications like contacts, email, and stuff like that. These are the ones which use SQLite extensively. So today I'm going to start with the second one, which is the file base. So I've designed this simple interface. I'm not going to teach you how to do the layouts, but I hope you know already how to do this. If not, then you can check out my channel and learn about layouts. Anyway, I have this simple interface. I want to create a phone based on these three user inputs. The user will be entering brand name, model number, price, and then the user will add a new phone which will go and be written into a file. If the file does not exist, it will be created and the phone will be added to the file. Now if the user clicks on show all phones, we want to go to another activity and then display the list of phones which have been added. So you can keep on adding phones and the show all phones will actually show all the phones which you have added. So let's start by programming. So we'll go to our main activity.java file. I'll come out of the onCreate method, and first handler function which I will create is for the write to file, or basically add a phone handler function. So public void add phone, I'm going to name it view VW. These are actually uh, this is the parameter which I've entered in case you don't see view automatically imported. In my case it's automatically imported. If you don't see that, you will see this error, this red, and don't worry, Android Studio will ask you and it'll actually give you the suggestion, do you want to import a view? You press alt enter and the view will be imported automatically and the error will go away. Now what we really want to do is we now want to add the code for adding the phone. So let's do that. First of all, we will create the reference for file txt edit text. The second step we want to do is create the file output stream. Then we want to do create output writer, and then we want to write to the file, and once we've written to the file we want to close the writer. These are the broad steps we want to do when we want to add to the file. We want to add a phone. Now similarly we want to read also, so public void show or show all phones, also view, and I'll come to that later on. So let's finish the code for add phone. First of all, we need to create a reference, edit text, Remember, I'm trying to create a reference uh, to these, the brand name, model number, and price. These are the edit text which I've created: brand txt, model txt, and price txt. So I'm going to create the references for this. Edit text brand txt is equal to find view by id. Android Studio gives you suggestions. Take those suggestions. Don't type the whole code by yourself. Brand txt, that's the one I need. And edit text model txt. You can give it any name you like. Doesn't have to be the same name you've given to the on the interface, but it's good to get the same name so that you don't forget. And then we have edit text price txt is equal to find view by id. The reason I'm appending it with txt is that I know this is not the actual price, not the actual model, not the actual brand. This is the text I'm referring to. r.id dot price txt. Now I can get its values. Okay, so I'll do that later on. Now let's just go ahead and create the file output stream. The file output stream is the one I need. FOS, any variable name you can give. Open file output. See, I'm not typing the whole code. I take the suggestions that Android Studio gives to me because it kind of guesses what I want to do. So let's say I want to give a file name. I can create a variable for a file name also, so I don't mess up later on when I'm reading. Okay, I'll leave that to later on. So let's say I need phones.txt with the file name, and I want to type which mode I want to open it in. So if you type mode, you will see two modes over here: append and private. Append means add to whatever the existing content of the file is. Private means delete everything and create a new file and start from scratch. So I'm going to go with mode append. Sorry, yeah. Now you'll see an error and handled exceptions. What if the file is not found? What if I cannot write? What if the disk is full? So surround with try catch. So you'll see a try catch block created. Everything should be going inside this try catch block. So I'll now create a file output writer. Output stream writer is what I need. Writer, or I'll call it file writer better. File writer is equal to new output stream writer, and I'll give it this location. Basically, this is the link. It should write to this file. So the output stream writer should write to this file output stream which I've created for phones.txt. And file writer dot write. Now this is the place I can actually write something. I'll come to that later on. Let's just close the writer. File writer dot close. Okay, now what I want to add over here, let me just discuss. I want to add all of this, the values which the user has entered, into the file. So let's create a string for that. String content, or I'll call it, let's say phone str phone string is equal to brand txt dot get text dot toString. So I have a string. So let's say the user has written over here Apple, and the user has keyed in iPhone 5, pardon me for that, 5, and then price is, let's say, 2000. So the string which I want to build is not let me just type it over here: Apple iPhone 5 2000. This is not what I want. I want Apple space iPhone 5 space 2000, so it is readable. So I'll create a variable called space, string variable string space, and I'll define what is actual space. Well, this is a space. I want this actually between the values. So I'll say brand, this is the brand, I just read the brand, plus space. I want space. What is space? This space I is the actual string I need. Space plus, I'll just make it a little readable, model txt dot get text dot toString plus space. I can go to the next line and write, no problem, as long as I finish it with the semicolon at the end. Then in the end, price text dot get text dot toString. So I'm not doing any sort of validation as of now. So right now I just created my phone string, which will be formatted like this: Apple iPhone 5 2000. In the end also I should have a space, because what if the next phone comes in, it will also start like this: Samsung. I don't want that, I want a space between that. So I want to write like this in the file, or I can actually write a comma. Okay, so let's say I will have a comma here. So I'll say okay, string comma is equal to this comma. I can type it manually, or I'll just say comma plus space in the end. Okay, anyway, so I have my string ready, so I'll just mention this phone str here. So it will go ahead and write phone str. So when it will write, it will say that I have a problem. What if IO exception? There is some problem I can't write. Add a catch block, and instead of the printing stack trace, meaning showing up the error, just show to the user there's a problem. So I'll say toast, create a new toast, and display can not create a, create or access a file to write. And this one is also a toast, create a new toast, cannot write to file. Okay, so this is basically our complete code for writing to a file based on the values we have read over here. Now also, once it is written, we need to just tell the user also, so we can do that outside the try, because we are not writing to the file anymore. The writer is closed. Toast dot, oh okay, I think it's better we write here, because if there's a problem, it will show you that there's a problem, and then it will still say file written. So before there's a problem, I'll say toast written to file, so we know that it has written to the file. So that's how I actually write to the file. Now I also want to show all phones, but before that, let me just go ahead and see if I've hooked up. So add new phone has a on click, the button has an on click. Make sure you have done that. Add to file, we have add to file or add phone. I need to hook up with add phone. That's the method I just created, add phone, which will actually go and add phone. The show all phones should actually show all phones. So I'll select the show all phones. I've not written the code yet, but it'll actually go ahead and show all phones. Now show all phones, what I have done is I've actually created a new activity, right click, new activity, and empty activity. I've given it name show all phones, because it's supposed to not show my all phones in a toast message, but to navigate to a new activity and show the phone there. I'm going to create a new intent, which we all know how to create. I hope if you followed my previous lessons, intent I is equal to new intent, this comma, I want to go to show all phones, show all phones dot class, semicolon, and start activity. Make sure not start action mode, not start activities. We're using start activity, which takes only one intent, which is what we've created. So it'll actually go ahead and start activity. So when it starts the activity show all phones, it is also basically reading all the files which we have, all the phones which we've created, and it is also accessing the same file. If I have written to let's say the name of the file phones.txt, it should read also from the same file, which is phones.txt, but I wanted to show it as soon as it starts, so I will create that code inside the onCreate, not outside. So as soon as the activity starts, read the file phones.txt and display. So where will it display? Let me just see if I have something to display. I don't have anything here, so let's just create a layout. I'm going to create a layout, and inside the layout, it's match parent. I will have a text view. This text view is, right now its value should be in the beginning nothing, and it's let's see, all attribute text size should be, I can change that to like something which is readable, 14 points. Okay, let's go back. to the Java code. So as soon as the activity starts, it actually should go ahead and read it. So what am I supposed to do? Create file input stream first of all, and then I will create input stream reader, and then I'm going to create buffer to read, and then loop and read the file till till the end of file. It will keep on reading it, and within the loop it will actually do this: read the buffer and save in a string, save or add in a string, and then close the reader is what I want to do as soon as I've done that in a loop. Okay, so let's create a file input stream. File input stream, uh, let's say file input stream, I'll call it fin because it's a stream which is reading. Input file input stream is equal to open file input. I'm going to give it the same name, phone.txt. Make sure it's exactly the same name. I've written the content into, it's phones with an S. So I'll come back and I'll just paste. It's better to paste. When I do that, it'll say I have a problem, I have an exception, what to do, unhandled exception. So you click on the bulbs surround with try catch, which we did in the previous one also. Basically what it is saying is, what if there is no space, what if I can't access it, etc. So you show a message to the user if that's the case. So I'll just delete the file not found exception, the method of it, the body of it with the toast. So it tells the user that cannot not read from the file. So now we've created a open input stream. We'll create a reader from it. So input stream reader, so I think it needs I capital here. Input stream reader, file reader is equal to new input stream reader, and I'll give this file input stream. This is the location you should read from. So I'll say, okay, this is the location, file input stream. Using this, you should create an input stream reader, and then create a character buffer because we'll be reading characters. I'll create a character buffer array. New character, I can read, let's say, 100 characters at a time. This is done for performance. String is my S. Any name you can give, string S, because this is the string I will be reading. Or and another variable I need for character read, how many are read. So I will count in a loop. So while character read is equal to file reader dot read into this buffer. So it will read into this buffer. I can give this buffer here, and I'll say if this is greater than 0, meaning if you have read anything, then you continue, actually do something in the loop. Do what in the loop? Just read the buffer and add it to a string. This is what you should do in the loop. What will say, what if there is a problem? So we are still inside a try block. Will say add the catch clause. So it will add the print stack IO exception catch clause. What if we cannot read from it? I'll create a toast for this, because file reading can have many problems. You cannot locate the file, so we'll say cannot read from the file, or you cannot access the file reader. So cannot read from the file, or so cannot locate the file, or permissions should. So that's the first more accurate problem. Okay, so now it'll say incompatible types. Character read is equal to file reader dot read buffer into character read is greater than 0. Yes, it's a boolean. Okay, let me just do this, if that makes him happy. Yeah, so we store it in a character, in a variable, and then check if it's greater than 0. If it's greater than 0 really, then we'll do this s plus is equal to, meaning add to our previous string whatever the value is, since it's doing it in loop, string dot copy value of, and we'll give this buffer from beginning from the 0, meaning you have to start from whatever the buffer value is from the beginning of the buffer, and how much the character read, whatever is the amount of the data which has been read. There's a comma here. So from the, it will read from the buffer, from where, from the beginning of the buffer, how much, well, the length of the buffer, whatever is the value of the length of the buffer, whatever amount has been read from the file, just read it. So it will read it, and in the end I want to close the reader because we have done the reading but we have not displayed it anywhere. So I'll show you. So I'll say okay, file reader dot close. We'll close it, and then in the end we should display on the text view. So the name of the text view, if we have, I'm not sure if we did that. Yeah, there's a text view. Let's give it a name. Phones list txt. So this is the phones list I have. Make sure the phones txt, if you give phones txt here and there's another phones txt here, maybe, so there may be confusion. Please try to make the names different even across different activities. So I have given it phones txt. So let's, first of all, we need to create a reference for it in the beginning, right? So text view phones txt is equal to find view by id, r dot id dot phones txt is what I'm expecting. Now if you don't know what is text view, it is the one which is text view with v capital. So I'll say phones txt dot set text, meaning change its text to whatever this value of s is now. Okay, so it will actually now supposed to run. Let's run my application in the emulator. It'll take a while to start. Okay, so it just prompted me that there's nothing called phones txt, so I just changed that to phones list txt, which is the name I've given, and the emulator is still starting up. Okay, this should run now. Yes, please, in the emulator I meant. Okay, let's first of all add a phone, Apple iPhone 5, price is 2000, add a new phone. It says, it gives me confirmation into the file. Let's add Samsung Galaxy S8, and the price is 3000. Add a new phone. And lastly, we'll add one more phone called Lenovo. I'm not sure what model Lenovo has. Let's say M10. I'm not sure. So it's, this is the price. Add new phone. I'm going to do show all phones. So it goes to another activity, reads Apple iPhone 5, etc., Samsung, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and it displays. This is I've actually added previously also. So if you need a fresh list, I'll say phones2.txt, add to phones2.txt. I mean read from phones and write also to phones2. So now you'll see a new file will be created. I need to restart and run this again. 10th April is the date it's showing, so I'm going to write that again. April. It was actually reading from my previous file and writing to the previous file. iPhone 7, add a new phone, and then maybe Huawei 310, I believe, is the new one. A new phone. Show all phones. So now it will read from another file. You'll see there's a comma and space nicely separated. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.